L'Shana Tova Tikatevu. Welcome to the beginning of our new year here at University Synagogue. And if you're anything like me, having just faced daunting traffic on the way to services tonight, I can tell you from my heart, I need a minute to catch up with myself. And I'm going to invite all of you to do the exact same thing. We've faced the beeps of the day. We've faced too many emails. We've faced traffic. We wanted to murder 75 of the people who were in front of us in line, but we don't want to do that. But we do want to get ready for our High Holy Days. So just take a minute, friends. Just take a deep breath and enjoy the time that we will have together as we begin our New Year service. And as we do so, we're going to invite you to turn to page 6. The Baal Shem Tov saw a man running through town, and he said, "What are you running for?" He says, "I'm running to get to the service." He said, "Maybe you should stop and catch up with yourself." May that be something we try to do throughout the year ahead. At the top of the page 6 is Hine Matov, and we're going to begin with saying those very important words together. How good and how pleasant, brothers and sisters gathered together. My privilege to invite forward Margaret Feinstein and Scott Spencer to lead us in our candlelighting. Friends, we turn together to page 11.
Ata Adonai. Eloheinu melech haolam.
Page 12.
Season of the soul, a time to rejoice, a time to reflect, a time to return.
A time to gather around the table with loved ones and friends, a time for song and silence, for prayer and confession to open the heart, a time to retreat to our sanctuaries within, a time to renew the life of spirit of our community.
This is the season of attentiveness, a time to notice what has unfolded and what has not, a time to regret, a time to forgive, a time to remember cherished dreams and high ideals erased by reality.
This is the season of hope. Like mist rising at sunset, like dew descending at dawn, our hopes beautify and nourish everything they touch. Our hopes make us partners in creation, pursuers of peace, people who aspire to a world of justice.
This is the season of awe. When our eyes behold it, may we feel blessed. When we turn toward each other, let us feel strength. When we seek the holy, may we find purpose. May we find courage. May we find love.
We honor Margaret and Scott, who put up with too much from the two of us for us to ever thank them enough. And we're so grateful for having them as our life partners. So I want to offer a special welcome to those of you who are not in our sanctuary, but are with us streaming from New Orleans and Chicago and Hong Kong and wherever you may be. As we wish each other Shana Tova, we welcome to this holy space those who may be in other locations but are with us here in spirit. Those community members away for work but joining us on their laptops from the hotel rooms. Those stuck in the hospital but are tuning in. Those who are in bed and unable to join. Those who are alone but join us and our community tonight, just as our Brentwood Havurah service next door and here. We all want to welcome you wherever you may be. Friends, let's turn to page 15. My privilege to invite Dr. Josh Weider to give us the beginning of our sounds for the new year. Page 15. Tik'u b'chodesh shofar b'chesed leyom chagenu, ki chok leYisrael hu mishpat leElohei Yaakov. At the new moon, at the full moon, for our feast day, sound the shofar. For that is the law of Israel, the way of the God of Jacob. So we praise God, the blast of shofar. Baruch ata Adonai, shomea kol truat amo Yisrael, birachamim. We bless you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, the true voice of your people Israel. Just a little appetizer. Tekiah. A forspice, as they would say. Just a little taste. We're going to turn, friends, to page 17. Hineni ha'ani mimas, v'nirash v'nifchad, mipachad yoshev tilot Yisrael. Here I am, O God, so poor in deeds that I tremble in fear, overwhelmed and apprehensive before you, to whom Israel sings praise. Although unworthy, I rise to pray and seek favor for your people Israel, for they have entrusted me with this task.
Therefore, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God of Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, Adonai, Adonai, merciful, gracious God, who inspires awe, I pray to you for success on my path.
I pray for myself and my community. Do not hold them responsible for my wrongs and offenses. May my deeds cause them no shame, and may their deeds cause me no shame.
Friends, we turn to page 19 as we officially declare the new year. Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Yehi Ratzon shenizkeh levirchotecha b'shnat 5078. O God, our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5778. Eternal One, bless us in the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. Join me, friends. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. We invite those who are able to rise, page 20, as we turn to our formal call to prayer, Baruch Hu. Join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach she'arim, uvitbuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono, bore yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו.
אל החי, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המרעיב ערבים.
Page 24, Abundant Love. watchword of our faith, Shema Israel, page 26.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Take your seats, friends, as we invite those who have earned their golden kippah in our synagogue, this extra credit honors program for those studying and preparing to become bar or bat mitzvah.
ושנתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, ובשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
So as our student rabbi, Joanne Leuben, joins us, let me introduce her to you. She's a fourth-year rabbinical student at Hebrew Union College. She's originally from Chicago, where her parents, siblings, nieces, and nephews still reside. She studied at St. Louis University for an undergraduate degree in political science with a minor in theology. She moved to Jerusalem to study at the Pardes Institute, which is a liberal men and women studying together yeshiva-style education in Jerusalem, and stayed a couple extra years to earn a master's in Jewish education. Following her degree, she went to Atlanta, where she taught at the Alfred and Adele Davis Academy, a Reform Jewish day school, as well as teaching in the religious school at Temple Emmanuel. Teaching fulfilled her dream of trying to express text with people, and her dream to become a rabbi is 3/5 completed and 2/5 left to go. I will tell you, though, that she had a fascinating year as a student rabbi this past year in, of all places, Billings, Montana. Whitefish, Montana was not far away. You may ask her about that during our time together, as she'll be with us throughout the year. We're delighted to welcome her warmly to our congregation. And friends, we're going to turn, if you'd be so kind, to page 33.
As we sing our own ancient anthem of freedom, we remember those throughout the world for whom freedom is not a given. Right here in our own country, there are people whose status hangs in the balance. We prepare for Michamocha, the joyous cry of the Israelites after fleeing from bondage, and we think about ways we can continue to fight towards freedom for all. Page 33. To break the bonds of anger, to be generous of heart, to break the bonds of shame, to live with self-respect, to break the bonds of envy, to serve one another in joy,
to break the bonds of boredom, to be attentive to all God's gifts,
to break the bonds of fear, to live with courage and strength,
to untie the knots of betrayal, to love with fullness of being,
to break the bonds of loneliness, to receive a hand of hope,
to break the bonds of self-centeredness, to extend a hand of help.
Released from the darkness, our people found their freedom at the sea, and we pray for liberation at the dawning of this year. Please turn to page 34 for Michamocha.
מלכותך ראו בניך בוקיים לפני משה ומרים זה לי אנו ואמרו. פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
We now turn to page 36 for Hashkivenu.
Adonai, Elohim.
Amidah, we call God by many names. God is compassion, goodness, holiness, and hope. However, one name stands out to me right now: help. We claim that God is Magen Avraham, the shield of Abraham, and Ezrat Sarah, the helper of Sarah. I've been amazed as I have watched people all over the country and the world provide help to the victims of our recent natural disasters. This, I believe, is the kind of help that God wants us to provide each other. During Rosh Hashanah and throughout the high holiday season, we allow ourselves to ask for God's help too. Tonight, we pray that God will provide our cities and our world with the help we need to support each other, to rebuild, and to move forward. In the Amidah, we call God Ezrat Sarah, and as we recite the Amidah tonight, may God be Ha'ezra Shalanu, our help. Please rise and turn to page 42 for the Amidah.
Shemo be'ahava. Yisrael Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah.
We now join together in English on page 46. Your life-living power is forever, Adonai, with us in life and in death. You liberate and save, cause dew to descend, and with mercy abundant, lovingly nurture all life. From life to death, you are the force that flows without end. You support the falling, heal the sick, free the imprisoned and confined. You are faithful even to those who rest in the dust. Power beyond power, from whom salvation springs. Sovereign over life and death, who is like you? Merciful God, who compares with you? With tender compassion, you remind all creatures for life. Faithful and true, worthy of our trust, you sustain our immortal yearnings. You our undying hopes. Wellspring of blessing, power eternal, you are the one who gives and renews all of life. Please turn to page 50, and you may be seated.
Take
So we've had a number of people compose music at University Synagogue. One of our favorite composers, Michael Isaacson, and his wife Susie, have moved to Florida. They got through everything fine, but they are now in the area of north of Miami, which is all called Florida, and I'm not good at what the details are there. But this song we just heard from Jay is a beautiful piece that was composed by Shuli Katz. And so we want to thank her for her wonderful composition. And I just want to note for the record how wonderful it is to be in a congregation where our cantor emeritus and our cantor, our senior cantor, get along like peaches and cream. It is really, I don't even know if you know as congregants how wonderful it is to have them both here and what it feels like for me as their friend and colleague to work with them together. So it's very special. Jay will be back with us on Yom Kippur morning. Okay, good.
I'll be with Cantor Freilich on the other times.
We continue on page 54. In your love, eternal our God, you have given us this day of remembrance, a day for the shofar's joyful sound, a day of sacred assembly, a day to be mindful of our peoples going out from Egypt. Our God and God of the generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness, together with the memory of our ancestors and the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel. May we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace on this day of remembrance. 55. Eternal our God, remember us together. Amen. Be mindful of us. Amen. Amen. And redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing.
Amen. Amen.
Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with grace and compassion. We continue on page 58. God, who is ours, and God of our fathers and mothers, lead us to holiness through your mitzvot, and may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. You bestow such goodness, teach us to be satisfied, and to know the joy of your salvation. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart, for you are a faithful God, whose truth stands forever.
Baruch atah Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael, v'yom hazikaron.
Page 60.
Adonai Eloheinu,
Blessing of the people. May the hands of our brothers and sisters who cherish the dust of our land, all of them, wherever they are, be strong. Do not give up in spirit, in joy, and in song. Come together as one for the sake of our people. Page 64. Please join me on the bottom of page 65 as we read together. Source of blessings, may we open our eyes to the radiance around us. May we open our hearts with gratitude and our souls with appreciation. We turn now to page 66 for Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tazim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. בספר חיים ברכה ושלום. ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה. ברכה ושלום ניזכר וניכתב לפניך. אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל. לחיים טובים ולשלום. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
As we enter this new year, let's do so mindfully and take a moment to pray silently using either the words on page 67 or 68 or any prayer that you may have in your own heart at this time.
Friends, it has been our custom for some time to make sure that we ally ourselves with those in need of healing, some who may be present, some who may be not in this house of worship tonight. But we think of all those in need of healing, whether they may be at home or in hospitals and nursing homes, among us as friends, as family. We ask, O God, that you sustain and strengthen them with compassion and restore them to full health without delay. If you would like to mention the name of someone who is ill and thus hold him or her close to you during our prayer, feel comfortable to mention his or her name at this time. We hold all their names in our hearts, friends, as we turn to our Misha Berach.
Misha Berach, Avodeinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Veleah, Yevareh, Ve'irabeh, et Hacholim.
We have a lot of chutzpahdik prayers in our tradition. Some of them call on us to actually direct our voice almost in protest to God. The prayer that Cantor just led for healing has a word, el na, refa na la, in the original text. Na is a word meaning please, or would you consider? But if you look at Avinu Malkeinu on 76 and 7, there's no please. There's no we hope that. There's no would you consider. These are all verbs of demand. We demand it from God. We don't say it with any apology. We demand mercy. We demand healing and wholeness. We want it done. And then at the very end, as if the poet kind of remembers, you're talking to God, not your next door neighbor, you back off a little bit and say, oh, our deeds are wanting. Please save us. So let us turn with both impudence and with a bit of, shall we say, respect to Avinu Malkeinu, 76 and 77.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu. Ve'alol aleinu, v'tapeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu,
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu mesefer chaim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Mosheinu, Alishayinu, Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova.
Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu.
We join in those last lines on the bottom of 77 in the folk version of Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu,
Chonenu vaneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu vaneinu, Ki ein banu ma'asi. Asei imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Asei imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Asei imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Asei imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, ve'hoshienu.
You may be seated.
What did you do this summer? Did you spend time at the beach or Disneyland, traveling? Well, I did a bit of that too. I spent my summer at Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion, where I am a rabbinic student, studying the story of the binding of Isaac, the Akedah. After 8 weeks of yeshiva-style learning, just when I thought I knew the text inside and out from every angle, there was always more to learn. It is a troubling text to read, and I thought it might get easier the deeper into it I dove. But in fact, it proved just the opposite. Every new commentary or perspective only made this text more complicated. Tonight, I want us to explore together the lessons of holiness embedded within this difficult story. The part I struggled with the most was trying to understand why we read this saga on Rosh Hashanah. Here we have a tale of Abraham, the patriarch of the Jewish people, told to sacrifice his son for which he and Sarah had prayed, hoped, and dreamed. This is the same son that was meant to continue the line from which God promised Abraham's great nation would descend. And if it was meant to be a test all along, that's some seemingly cruel test. How could God ask Abraham to sacrifice his son? How could Abraham even think to go through with this? Despite all of these questions, I discovered the holiness in this text. After God told Abraham to move to a new land and accept a covenant which would ensure Abraham becoming a great nation, and in turn God would protect him and bless him and his people, God finally gave Sarah and Abraham the son that God had promised them. It was after all of these events that God tested Abraham. Abraham, as the loyal believer he had proven himself to be thus far, answered, "Hineni, here I am, ready for whatever the task." God then said to Abraham, "Take your son, your favored one, whom you love, and Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah to offer him there as a burnt offering." Abraham woke early the following morning to do as God commanded. He readied his donkey and took along 2 servants, and of course, Isaac, as they began their trek. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked and knew the mountain ahead of him would be the one on which he would perform the sacrifice. He left his servants and his donkey at the base of Mount Moriah and continued the journey up with Isaac, the wood for the offering, the flint for the fire, and the knife cleaver. At this point, Isaac spoke up for the first and last time in the story as he questions his father, noting that they have everything else for the offering, but where's the sheep? Abraham assured his son that God will be sure to provide the offering, and the 2 of them continued upwards towards the mountaintop. When they finally reached the place God told Abraham, he built the altar, arranged the wood, and bound up his son, Isaac. Abraham raised the knife cleaver above Isaac, and just as he was about to bring his hand down to slay his son, a messenger of God called out to him from above, calling his name twice, "Abraham, Abraham." Again he responded, "Hineni, here I am." And the messenger of God told Abraham not to raise his hand against the boy or to do anything to him. Since it is now known Abraham feared God and was willing to make his most precious son a sacrifice. Just then Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by the horns in the bramble, which he used as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham named that place Adonai Yireh, because on that day, on that mountain, God saw. I found holiness in the particular setting of the story. What was special about the place, the mountaintop, where he was meant to make the sacrifice? Not just any place would suffice. After all, it was also the place that God saved Isaac. and that God understood Abraham's true commitment to the covenant. This place is also believed to be the same place that the Temple Mount, the holiest of spaces known in Judaism, once stood. This is where the Western Wall in Jerusalem stands today. If nothing had ever happened on that mountain, it would be just that. The top of a mountain in a vast mountain range, the name of which we would not remember. Similarly, a synagogue could be just a structure. What is the difference between this building and any other building in the city? Besides the beautiful stained glass windows, the difference is what we do here. Something happens here. Our gathering, our prayers, our actions that make this place holy. What makes any place holy? Places are holy because they remind us of things of the past. Think of the places that are holy to you because of the special moments that took place there. Maybe it's your team's baseball field, the Hollywood Bowl, Symphony Hall, your grandparents' house, or your favorite beach, park, or trail. Now, imagine if Abraham decided to take Isaac back up that mountain for a hike to spend some quality time together. Could that mountain ever be just a mountain for Abraham or Isaac again? Imagine that Isaac took his sons, Jacob and Esau, up that mountain for a boys' weekend. What feelings might that evoke for Isaac? There are certainly places in my life that evoke strong memories. Every time I drive down the street in Skokie, Illinois, where I was born and lived for my first 5 years, I am flooded with family memories. When I walk past the apartments where I used to live in Jerusalem, images rush back to me of stories and moments I had while living there. During my last year in Israel, at HUC, in the fall semester, terror took the form of stabbings, and suddenly the streets felt unsafe. We stayed together in what we referred to as the Hebrew Union College Fortress. The thick walls and guards made us feel secure in a time of insecurity. I remember one night we watched Israeli movies and ate Israeli snacks as we heard the unforgettable sounds of the sirens rushing past. Luckily for us, this unrest did not last long. However, not everyone was quite as lucky. While this was an extremely troubling moment, we were able to create a holy space in this moment of fear. The rabbis, after the destruction of the Second Temple, referred to the word place in Hebrew, makom, as the name for God. They no longer had one particular holy place, so the word became the name of God, as God could be represented in all places. This is especially true with this synagogue. This space holds countless memories of mitzvahs and simchas, of families and friends, of milestones and marriages. It's also a place where we gather in times of crisis, and where we come together to mourn, to grieve, to draw strength from one another. It is important to remember that there is holiness in those moments too. This place, our synagogue, is holy because of what happens here. This building is ready for us to embark on the 10-day journey through these high holy days, from Rosh Hashanah through Yom Kippur, but it is now our job to illuminate its holiness. How can we make this space holy? Community. Our community fills this space to elevate the holiness inherent in these days. However, where is the community in the Akedah? The story has a cast of characters: Abraham, God, Isaac, the servants, the messenger of God, and the ram. Only a few of these players take on active roles. It is really God and Abraham whose voices are heard and whose actions are felt. Isaac does speak up for one chilling sentence, but his voice is quickly overpowered. What does it mean for the community when only a few voices are heard and lead the many? A holy community should be one in which all voices are heard. There is a missing voice which goes unheard but not unnoticed: Sarah. Her absence rings so loudly that the rabbis in our tradition imagine several possible reactions. One of the rabbinic texts tells a story of Isaac coming home after the near sacrifice, explaining the events. The excruciating thought of the worst-case scenario pained her so much that she releases 6 cries, corresponding to the 6 blasts of the shofar, the ram's horn. The pain was so intense that Sarah died immediately. When we hear the shofar blasted throughout this holiday season, let it remind us of these missing voices. Let us remember those voices not considered and consulted. How would this story be different if her voice had been present? A holy community should allow these voices to be heard. A holy community should also be a place where we are surrounded by those whom we trust, a place where we feel comfortable bringing tough questions because we know we will be met with chesed and emet, love and truthfulness, a place where we will be considered and challenged. A holy community should include and represent all of these parts. This brings us to us. If this synagogue needs the actions of the community to bring about holiness, then the community needs individuals who are seeking holiness. Abraham replied, "Hineni," to God's call. He was ready and prepared, and he answered without hesitation. The text describes his next action with the biblical trope, "Vayashchem baboker," which means he woke up early the next morning. This phrase is used in the Torah when someone is about to do something important. They wake up early to do so. We can imagine saying Hineni ourselves. Think about how different the story of the Akedah would be if every character said Hineni and woke up early. If every character, even the ram, was ready and prepared. Now that we are awake and present, how do we continue to transcend the liminal space between the high holy days and the rest of the year? How can we move into the holy? We can find a seat, make a commitment to being here. Not just sitting back and waiting for the show to start, rather coming together as a holy community, comprised of people ready to do our own individual, spiritual, and holy work as members of this community. This work is active. This work is thoughtful. This work requires intention. Abraham says Hineni, but that does not mean his actions are perfect. There is always room for complexity. Abraham says he is ready, and God tells him what to do, but Abraham does not question it. He is not ready to confront the complexity of what it means to be a part of a holy community. But how can we hold him to that standard any more than we hold ourselves to that standard? In the end, we all have room to repent. That's what we're here for. No one is perfect. That is precisely the point of the high holy days. To be holy is to be present, to present ourselves. Imagine all the ways in which we can say Hineni, here I am, during this season and throughout this new year. The Akedah is the proof text for the notion that holiness is found in the struggle. This is where I found the holiness of the Akedah. It reflects the complexities of our lives. We, our people, are born from the legacy of this story. We are Israel. We struggle with God. That's what makes us holy. Shana Tova.
אחים גם יחד.
מה טוב, הנה מה טוב.
הנה, הנה,
היי, הנה.
הנה מה טוב. There are those of us who carry years. There are those who tarry years.
There are those who are born to us, and there are those who come to us.
And there are those who know their dream. And those who dream to know.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה, הנה מה טוב. There are those of us who reach for heaven. There are those who reach for hands. There are those whose faith is rock, and those who question God's command.
And there are those who just don't know the words.
And those who know where they stand.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב.
Not all the same,
But stronger and wiser as one. Here we are, here we are.
there are those of us who live on clouds.
There are those who live on earth,
There are those who will never change.
and there are those who find rebirth.
And there are those who know where we've been. And those who
See where we'll go. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב. הנה, הנה.
The actual translation of those words are, how good and how pleasant it is when cantors sing together. And I want to thank Joanne as well. Rabbi Simons will be with us in the morning. And it's my privilege now to invite our executive director, Lisa Beth Lobenthal, to lead us. We turn, friends, to page 78. I invite you to rise for our Kiddush.
From mountaintop moments and the taste of joy, celebrations shared, milestones met, all we've mastered and achieved, since last we met. For wedding rings, tears and kisses under the chuppah, new babies, first words and first steps. For the children who bless our homes and bring life to our community, for B'nai Mitzvah and confirmands, young teachers of this holy congregation, ours to cherish and guide with love. For beloved wives and husbands, sisters and brothers, for loyal friends who grow more precious with each passing year, for this community which nourishes us all, for all we've learned, for all we've struggled through, for challenges surmounted and disappointments met with courage, for last moments shared with those we've loved and lost. For parents and grandparents whose memories are with us forever, we lift this cup for the year that is gone, for the year that begins. May we meet it in strength, in unity, in hope. We lift this cup and celebrate survival. So may we sanctify each day that is ours.
79 and 80.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'am ורוממנו מכל לשון וקידשנו במצוותיו. ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה את יום הזיכרון הזה, יום תרועה מקרא קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים, כיפנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים. ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל ויום הזיכרון. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
May be seated. But I think that there are probably some of you who don't know the people all around you. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, you don't have to be seated. You actually can greet them and say hello and welcome them to University Synagogue and make sure that everyone feels welcome here by offering a Lashana Tova to the people around you, across the aisle, behind you, in front of you. If we don't know each other, friends, we can't be the community that our rabbi taught us about. Chaim.
Great job. Cookies, yeah. Interesting.
Well, this wonderful opportunity to meet and greet can continue. Immediately following the service, Margaret and I want to invite you to continue the joy of schmoozing and saying hello and continuing conversation for all our community. One Congregation United will be in the grand lobby, and we hope you'll stop by, have a little stickel kuchel or whatever may be sitting out there. We have a little grab and go if you're stuck in the stack parking. Come and wait a second. If you're on the street and you're going to go through wonderful Brentwood traffic, schmooze a bit, have a little drink, have something good at the beginning of this new year that we can welcome all together. So join us for the owning in the lobby. Do me one favor, let us stream out so we can join you and gather there immediately following the service.
He wants it.
Oh, you wanted it.
I like the stand. Shana Tova. I'm Alan Golad, and I have the great honor to serve as your president here at University Synagogue. It is my pleasure to introduce our good friends who have joined us on the Bema this evening. To my left, Alan Chosen, trustee, our board trustee, Jill Chosen. Brian Lazarus, also a board trustee. Heather Lazarus. My lovely wife, Deborah Price. Rabbi Feinstein. Cantor Shapiro, our rabbinic intern, Joanne Leuben. Cantor Emeritus, Jay Freilich. Bruce Sanders, board trustee, Allison Schwartz. Matt Schwartz. Mitch Feiner, and board trustee, Jen Harmon. If I may, I have a few announcements. This is a much bigger stand than I thought it was. Tomorrow, we have a diverse set of services. Our Rosh Hashanah Tot service will be at 8:30. It's especially for preschoolers through kindergarten. Congregational worship will begin at 10:30. We also offer services and programming at 10:30 for our religious school students in grades 1 through 3 and 4 through 6. Children in 7th grade and up are encouraged to join the community here in our prayer. Parking will be available tomorrow at the Brentwood School, which is down on Bundy. Tomorrow afternoon, the Tashliks experience will be at Lifeguard Station 15 in Santa Monica at 3:15. This Sunday, we inaugurate our monthly University Synagogue Film Society at 10 a.m. with Jews and Baseball, an American love story. Rabbi Michael Berenbaum, a noted historian and founding director of the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum and a gigantic baseball fan, will be commenting on the film and its meaning. Our music programs this fall include the Yuval Ron Ensemble on October 29th, which is part of our interfaith activity to aid people experiencing homelessness. And then on November 11th, our own in-house rock band, the Mavens, will be performing. And finally, our Introduction to Judaism course will be taught on Sunday mornings by Cantor Jay Freilich. You give us 18 nights, and we'll give you 4,000 years. Los Angeles is my adopted hometown. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed being raised in Kansas City, and I have childhood friends who remain my dearest and closest friends. But in the words of Los Angeles native and prolific composer and songwriter Randy Newman, I love LA. His song is an anthem for our city. It celebrates this amazing place we live in. It glorifies our car culture. It boasts about the best weather on the planet, describes how remarkable it is to have oceans, mountains, and trees surrounding us, celebrates how culturally diverse we are from the west side to the east side, and it even laments our homelessness crisis. We are a rich city, a melting pot of ethnicities, a city of foreign immigrants, but also American transplants from every part of the country. I mean, what other city in the United States can you meet someone for the first time and ask them, where are you from? And then be surprised if they answer, I'm from LA. Our city is filled with iconic venues that bring us much happiness. We can travel down the road to Disneyland to relive fond childhood memories. We have, for now, the first place Dodgers, who play in the best ballpark ever built, Dodger Stadium, a mid-century marvel of modernist architecture. Our love for music and the arts can be savored in wonderful theaters and museums like the Music Center, the Disney Center, LACMA, the Getty Center. The LA Holocaust Museum and the Museum of Tolerance are impressive institutions for Jewish historical and social testimony. And we even have the number 19 at Langer's, the best pastrami sandwich I've ever eaten. All of these wonderful and colorful venues bring joy, poignancy, and satisfaction to our lives. But they all have one thing in common. None have been around as long as University Synagogue. We are on the dawn of a special birthday. The diamond anniversary of University Synagogue is just around the corner, as 2018 marks the 75th year of our founding. In 1943, 12 families broke away from a traditional synagogue in Santa Monica to create a Reformed congregation. And like our ancestors, our founding families led a nomadic congregation, first holding services across from UCLA at the YMCA on Hillgard. Then they moved over to the First Congregational Church of Westwood. And then we had our first permanent home, a 7-year stint at a former church on Gorham, before arriving here in 1955 at Sunset and Saltaire. We have seen our membership ebb and flow, and we have lived through a precarious financial crisis in the early 70s. We have seen new facilities built and existing ones renovated. We have persevered for nearly 75 years because, like all those other wonderful entertainment and cultural venues in Los Angeles, we provide something people want. We give something that at our personal core we need, a spiritual home and a community of friends who share the goodness in our values and the traditions of our Jewish heritage. I often think about what University Synagogue has meant to my family and to me. I think about the people we have met and the lifelong relationships we have made. I am proud of our clergy and their dedication and their spiritual leadership. I am thankful to be able to enjoy the beauty of our music. We have programming that is plentiful and diverse, satisfying our congregants' curiosity and yearning for growth. Whether it's a Saturday morning Bible study with Rabbi Davids, or social justice, where our congregants and their children make our world more just and they learn that there is no better gratification than to give. It's the superb education of our youth, from the youngest learners in our dynamic preschool to the maturation of our religious school students from pre-B'nai Mitzvah to confirmation. It's the community events like last month's Past President's Barbecue. There is something for everybody at University Synagogue because that is what we do. But more important than what we do is why we do it. Why is University Synagogue important to your life? As great as our programs may be, that isn't really our purpose. The purpose of University Synagogue is to enrich the lives of our congregants. The purpose of University Synagogue is to touch you in a way that makes your life full, a life with profound meaning. When we conclude these days of awe, I ask you to reflect on your experience over these high holy days. Were there introspective moments where in the midst of all the people in this sanctuary, you found greater clarity of purpose and meaning? I think there will be those moments because that's the reason University Synagogue has sustained itself for 75 years. And that will be the reason that we will be here for the next generations to come. When you leave through our grand lobby tonight, look to your left. You will see a plaque commemorating the founding families. We are living their hopes and their dreams. And now it passes to us. As we celebrate 75 years of University Synagogue, let's remind ourselves that it is our responsibility to ensure that this house of worship, this haven of community, will be here for our children, their children, and their grandchildren. It is my distinct honor to welcome to the Bema my dear friend, Jill Chosen.
Thank you, Alan, for those beautiful words and for shining such a warm light on the history and particularly for the meaning and the joy that it brings us here. Now, within every history, there are personal stories. My personal story embodies the past, it embodies the present, it embodies the future. It is L'Ador Vidor, from generation to generation. In fact, 5 generations of my family at University Synagogue, and so it truly is a link from life to life. My story began when my grandparents, Melvin and Lillian Lynch, joined 11 other founding families in 1943 to create the only Reformed temple in West Los Angeles. My grandfather would tell me what it meant to him after losing his family in the Holocaust, that he could help build a future for our family at University Synagogue. Its very existence to him was a prayer, a memorial, and a living testament. It was also a hope for the future, since I was always told he built it for me and my cousins Steve and Carol. He was a builder, and he built the kitchen, which is still in use today and which I believe looks exactly like it did way, way back then. And the cantor's pulpit, which had real meaning to our music-loving family, was dedicated to my grandparents at a special dedication service on November 18th, 1963. So, here are some of my vivid memories at University Synagogue as a little girl who was born at Cedars of Lebanon Hospital downtown. So honestly, Alan, I think I can say I am from LA. I remember my little desk in the second row of my Sunday school classroom. I remember the smell of fresh clay as my busy little hands assembled it into shapes that would eventually resemble a small child's version of the young state of Israel. I remember my grandfather taking me, not to Langer's, but to Nate and Al's, for lox, bagels, and whitefish, and then afterward driving me to Sunday school here every week in his little Jeep, waiting for me afterward, chatting with Rabbi Feingold, and then taking me home. Sitting together with my family in this very same sanctuary, gazing at the light coming through these amazing stained glass windows, as I waited for the sound of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, just as we do now. I remember learning the words and the melodies of songs that we are still singing here tonight. That's what it was for me then, my childhood memories of a Jewish place that felt like home. The meaning for me now, of course, resonates. It resonates much deeper. My husband, Alan, and I will tell you that our lives have been enriched in so many wonderful and unexpected ways through University Synagogue, as I hope yours has too. We feel so incredibly blessed that our family here now spans 5 generations. Just 3 months ago, Rabbi Feinstein officiated at the wedding of our daughter Allison and her husband Todd. Our granddaughter Amelia, who started here as a preschooler in Eclec, is now an enthusiastic student in religious school, and she already knows how sweet it feels to be here. All this and more is the beautiful embodiment of past, present, and future. I couldn't be more proud of anything in my life, and I know my grandparents would be too. Among the prayers said on that evening of dedication in 1963 was one in particular read on behalf of the Lynch family. Here's part of that prayer. Please allow me to share it with you. O Lord, before whom the morning stars sang together, and who has given us hearts to love you and lips to speak your name, grant us to sing with joy the songs of faith and hope and goodwill. Teach us how to live, that our thoughts may be wise and brave, that our speech may be considerate and gracious, that our actions may be generous and sincere. Let your light shine from our faces, your love glow within our hearts. So may we praise you in the beauty of holiness and go singing on our way all the days of our lives, rejoicing in the life which you've given us and in the splendor of your universe, which is our home, as is University Synagogue, our home. Past, present, and future for every one of us.
Friends, let us first thank Alan and Jill for their spectacular words tonight. As we turn now to Aleinu, page 82, I invite all who are able to please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adonai kol l'atid gedula liotzer bereishit shelo asanu ki goyei haratzot velo samanu ki mishpechot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem וגורלנו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים.
Page 84. So, Adonai, our God, we look to you, hoping soon to behold the splendor of your power revealed, a world free of idolatry and false gods, a world growing more perfect through divine governance, a world in which all human beings make known your name, while those who do evil turn toward you. As the ancient seer announced, the Eternal shall be sovereign over all the earth. On that day, the Eternal shall be one, and God's name shall be one.
ונאמר
page 87. Death will come. Its hand will not be stayed even an instant, nor can we enter into judgment with it. Our question why will go unanswered. But this does not mean that we are helpless in the face of death. We can and we will rob death of ultimate victory by living life as long as it is ours to live. To ask of death that it never come is futile, but it is not futility to pray that when death comes for us, it may take us from a world one corner of which is a little better because we were there. When we are dead and people weep for us and grieve, let it be because we touched their lives with beauty and simplicity. Let it not be said that life was good to us, but rather that we were good to life. Page 90. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Ba'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chaye chon v'yom echon. V'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah. Mevarach le'alam u'le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach. V'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal. Shemei l'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Ta'amiran ba'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. We note the passing of two who were summoned into their immortality just yesterday. Katrina Marie Caruso Libby, the mother of our congregant John Libby, and John Jaffe, the father of our congregant Renee Gilbert. Arrangements for the Libby family will be pending in San Diego, and Mr. Jaffe will be buried Monday at Hillside. And the source of peace, send peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are saddened here, wherever they may be, and let us say together, Amen. We're going to invite Cantor, some of your favorite singers.
If any of our Hasharim singers have made it to this point, you can come and join me. I didn't see any of them here. They may not. They can't do it. They can't do it. Yay, Haley. Yay, Haley. Haley, you get a prize.
Shalom.
We're going to invite the president of our youth group, standing in the corner with the golden kippah over there, Zev Spencer Shapiro, to lead us. We're on page 300, friends.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'etz. Source of blessing, eternal our God, your majestic power creates the fruit of the tree.
That's apples mixed in honey. You're the first one. Enjoy.
Yehi ratzon milfanecha, Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, shit chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova Umtuka. Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year, may it be a sweet year. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Pass it over there.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך. יאיר אדוני פניו אליך
Shana Tova Tikatevu V'Techatemu, may you be inscribed and sealed for a good, healthy year in the book of life. Amen. Have a wonderful year ahead. Shalom.